What's going on? We are back. Your captain is not here, but no worries. Your boy Jay Holly is running the show. We're going to talk about all things Cowboys. The staff is there. We're going to talk to Eric Galko and about the East-West Strong game that's happening tomorrow. We're going to call our friends over at CHGO, Adam Hoge. He's going to give us all the lowdown about our new defensive coordinator, Eberflus. And, of course, what could Brian Schottenheimer do with 100 days being on the job? Right here on the best Cowboy podcast, DLLS Cowboy Podcast, starting right. Oh! It's Wednesday. We got another show. We talk more about Brian Schottenheimer and his staff coming together. We are without our captain today. Jeff Kavanaugh is probably somewhere doing what Jeff Kavanaugh do. No worries. Your boy Jay Holly is sitting. Oh, what is that?
What are you doing?
What is he
drinking?
Oh,
but why'd you use two hands?
I thought he's on vacation.
You double fist like this?
You thought what?
I thought you.
What was this, like a sippy cup?
I'm not like that. You know better than that.
I thought you had the guac 2000 going on over there, man.
No, sir.
Man, woof. Let's get this show started, man. I'm your boy, Jay Holly.
Oh, Jesse Holly went 77 yards. It must be a reality show.
To my right, I got, I guess, the guac 2000 king.
Sir. Nope. You want to
There
win
is
this?
no-
Nope. Not this.
Oh, I didn't
want to
we didn't-
win.
I heard mine. I didn't hear
it.
his. And to my far right, I got the best beat writer that we
All
have
right.
around here, and Joe Hoyt.
Tell him something, Joe.
So I'm in a powerful position right now. I snagged Clarence's phone before the show. If we get 50 likes in the next 5 minutes, I will tweet something from his phone.
You could tell us one of his sources that not supposed to be on record that he tells us that's on record. Man, we got a great show for you guys today. Remember, hit the like button. When I'm sitting in this seat, we are not going to drop down on them likes. So you better make sure you hitting the like button, hitting the notification button. Tell a friend, send it to, put it in the work group chat and just send it to the entire office, man. But we got a great show with us today. Shotty, he's finally got his staff together.
Getting his
getting
staff
there.
Getting his staff
Not
together.
the whole staff
Getting
together.
He got the important parts together, right? Like, I know that they're looking for an offensive coordinator,
Right.
but Shotty, for the most part, he's going to be the play caller of
Right.
this offense.
Right.
So they're looking for a guy to kind of sit in the role that he set last year. Maybe that guy will bite his lip when Shotty ain't doing what he's supposed to be doing. Have a
You
little
don't
bit
want guy biting his lip.
have a little deference.
Can we talk
when that-
about that? Why is that a good thing to be biting your lip? I mean, if you're there and you see a problem, and one thing they talked about is that one reason why Dak liked Shotty and the things that he liked, because in 2023 when things struggled, he had a lot of input and really jump-starting the offense. So why now is that when there was time and things that he disagreed with, why is that now a good thing that he bit his lip? You don't want him biting his lip. I didn't hire you to be quiet.
Maybe there were some things that happened behind the scenes where he came to the forefront, spoke out about certain things,
He got slapped back.
and then got his hand smacked. And so sometimes that could be the case. The case could be, you know what? Sometimes I'm supposed to be seen and not heard. When I did vocalize some opinions that I may have had, some things that I may have wanted to change, I may have gotten popped. And Mike McCarthy probably told him, chill out, son. I got this.
Yeah, but he's the captain now, and hopefully whoever he hires or brings in won't be biting their lip. But breaking news, not breaking news, everything that we already knew.
Yep.
The defense coordinator was already set in stone.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well in
Lance,
advance.
take your mic with you.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, we knew what defense coordinator was going to be.
Well in advance. Yep.
Yeah, and so that he was with the Cowboys, a linebackers coach. He went to Chicago. Went to Indianapolis as the defense coordinator. Chicago as head coach. Now back. That was set in stone from the beginning. And they were doing the Rooney Rule interviews and everything like that, just to get it out of the way.
It's funny because
it better
be funny because we knew this for a long time. News broke that, hey, he's going to be the next DC. And all of a sudden you saw some of the reporters getting texts from sources like, hey, we actually have to go through a process here. So it's not official yet. So you say, oh, correction. Or some people would delete like, hey, they're leading towards Eberflus. It's not sold yet, but we've known this from the very beginning. Honestly, I had heard his name pretty early when it came to even talking about Schottenheimer, about pairing them together. So this has been a foregone conclusion. I think Eberflus has got familiarity, kind of goes with that narrative too. And I think that he's going to bring some kind of unique stuff to the defense and potential changes. We're going to talk with Adam Hoge about that later, and I'm excited for that.
Well, and the thing about it is that I think Eberflus is a good defense coordinator. He's been a good defense coordinator. He does things differently than Zimmer. He doesn't blitz as much. You're going to need guys, and certainly we'll talk about that. You're going to need guys who get to the quarterback, need other help from Micah Parsons to get to the quarterback. But is this also part of the problem, the same culture problem? Because he has no connection with Schottenheimer. This is a Jerry Jones hire. This is another Jerry Jones comfort hire. This is somebody we knew who's been here, who we actually wanted to be our defensive coordinator, but he had some respect for Rob Marinelli, and he didn't want to jump over Rob Marinelli when he was defensive coordinator. Went elsewhere, became a defense coordinator, became a head coach, and he's back. But this was done part and parcel when they hired Schottenheimer. This is what Jerry wanted. This is what Steven wanted.
But at least they do have a history, right? Like doesn't Schottenheimer and Eberflus, did they not have a history together? They didn't work together at any point in time?
No.
See, that to me now causes a problem.
Yeah, no, they don't.
That causes a problem. And on top of that, we may be looking and facing the same issue that we had last year with a new defensive coordinator. Because you can't, when you hire a new head coach, it's very difficult to keep the same continuity on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. So they decided to go with our continuity is going to be on the offensive side of the ball. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb and company, we're going to keep the continuity over there. We're going to keep those guys being able to have the same sort of verbiage. Now, of course, there's going to be some sort of tweaking that Schottenheimer does because that's just what you do. It doesn't matter what it is. Hell, I sat in this seat today and I'm doing a bark instead of a meow. It's just a difference of what people want to do when they sit in the captain's seat. But on the defensive side, how long will it take for this defense to adapt?
Yeah.
And on top of that, and I know that Micah is saying all the right things, right? I'm not worried about the contract. I'm not worried about being the highest paid. Mm-hmm. But there's also another component to that. There's an agent side to that. And yes, Micah, he is in charge of the agent. The agent works for him. But the agent's job is for me to get the very best deal that I can get for you. Right. And if that deal's not done by, let's say, OTAs and mini camps, Micah's probably not going to be there. Yeah. Right. And then depending upon if you sign other guys like Osa early enough, if you sign other guys like Jordan Lewis early enough and add others into that mix, those guys presumably or possibly may not be there. Yeah. How does that now go into the teaching of the new culture, of the new language, of the new input for Cowboys defensively?
Yeah, the good news is that it's done now. You got so many guys that are free agents. You have to make decisions on guys. Yeah, you have to make decisions on Osa.
They signed Zimmer last year early enough to make those decisions.
And Zimmer admitted that he didn't do what he wanted to do early enough. Zimmer admitted that he made a mistake. He told us
and that's a lesson
he tried to do what they were doing instead of what he wanted to do. I think coming in, Matt Eberflus certainly is going to learn his lesson from Zimmer, learn his lesson from his own self. I'm going to put my scheme in. Okay, there's so many guys that are free agents that when they decide whether it's Osa coming back, and I think signing a defensive tackle, that three technique is important for his scheme. This is an old school 4-3 Rob Marinelli scheme that they ran into. You need defensive tackles, you need defensive linemen that can make plays. They're going to prioritize that, and I think that going into this whole process of free agency and in the draft, they're going to pick people for his system. Okay, and he's going to have that stuff up and running from OTAs, the offseason program, whether Micah's there or not. And certainly you're going to find a way to put Micah in the right place. I think the biggest concern for me as we talk about these coaching hires, again, we talk about the comfortability, the special teams coach.
Yeah, Nick Sorensen.
That's a buddy. That's a buddy hire.
Yeah, that's Schottenheimer's buddy.
It's a buddy hire. Here's a guy who was a special teams coach for 1 year in Jacksonville. Certainly Schottenheimer has a relationship with him from their days back in Seattle. He had a horrible special teams in Jacksonville.
Wasn't good. And then the defensive coordinator last year in San Francisco, they took a significant drop back too.
And listen, this man got some good friends because he was fired as the special team coach in Jacksonville in 2021. Mm-hmm. Went to San Francisco as the defensive assistant, became the passing game coordinator on defense, then became a defense coordinator. Who has a rise like that? Okay? Then became defense, then got fired as defense coordinator, and now he's back as the special teams coach for the Cowboys. You need friends like that.
It's not about what you know sometimes in this league. It's about who you know.
It's about who you know. But I want to go back to Eberflus for a second, and I want to do one caveat. Yes, I do think this is a familiar Jones hire, right? Someone that the Cowboys are comfortable with. Maybe who knows if Schottenheimer actually is. But I don't want to discredit the hire because I do think that Eberflus could be a good defensive coordinator here. I think that, to your point, his system is pretty simple. So maybe they don't have to go to breakfast every day with Micah Parsons in the offseason to really hammer this home. Maybe there's not a lot of changes that have to be made in terms of we're going to flip this on its head. We're going to keep things relatively simple. I also think that it is a former head coach, right? It's a guy who just had head coaching experience going from a coordinator to head coach, and it didn't work out well. Well, sometimes the best lessons are actually through failure, and I think maybe Eberflus can kind of bring that calming presence and kind of can give some perspective to a first-time head coach. The one thing he can't teach him is clock management. Just don't take lessons from that, Brian, okay? That's the one thing you can't take lessons from Matt Eberflus is clock management.
My biggest thing is we're talking about culture. We're talking about identity. We're talking about putting players and things in position to be successful. And that to me needs to be hammered home and needs to be high on the priority list because this team has lacked culture, at least a good winning culture when it mattered. This team has lacked, and I've said up here and I talked about it before, they've lacked toughness. They've lacked physicality. And don't get me wrong. I get it and I understand that there's a difference between a player or a couple of players being nasty or having nastiness or toughness as that is now your identity. And I really I want to be, my hope is that this defense going into the offseason will be all systems go so that everyone is on board. Like, if you know that Micah's deal needs to be done today, then let's get it done today. Let's start the process of getting that done today so that you can have, if this is going to be your leader, this is going to be the guy who leads this defense, then yes, he does need to be there at OTAs. He does need to be there at minicamp. He does need to be there at all these team activities trying to get guys to come along and come with him because it's showing up in training camp to me is not good enough. And I'm 100% with you. Get my money right and I'll be there. Like I'm not going against that. This is more of a plea to Jerry and Steven of getting those things right because this defense has to be this has to be both units hitting on all cylinders week one of the season next year.
And we've talked about it. I've talked to you about it. But the way to consistently be good is have a defense. We can talk about the offense, but you look at the playoffs, turnovers will happen, mistakes will be made, but you stay in games, but you have a lockdown defense, a solid defense. If Cowboys defense would have stopped the nosebleed, Dak and somebody would have had a chance to overcome mistakes like some other quarterbacks. So fix the defense, get the defense right. I think it's the most important thing that needs to be done. We talk about needing a running back and receiver. Fix this defense. Find a way to stop the run. And that's something that certainly Matt Eberflus, that is line one. Find a way to stop the run. The Cowboys offensively had the fewest rushing touchdowns probably anybody in the league. It's so much talk about the Eagles scored more touchdowns in the playoff game than the Cowboys scored all year. But look how many rushing touchdowns they gave up.
I know. Yeah. And I think one fascinating thing, shout out to our friend John Oning who brought this up. Matt Eberflus is not a big blitz guy, right?
Right.
So that means you're going to be sending Micah Parsons, obviously, to get pressure, but you're going to need someone else that can go get pressure. I wonder if at pick number 12, an edge rusher could be in play. Someone that's also athletic to kind of counteract Micah Parsons' speed and kind of get after the quarterback a little bit more. That's something I'm sure we'll talk with Adam Hoge about because that would be a fascinating possibility for a team that has a lot of needs at 12.
And that's the thing. This team has a bunch of needs on both sides of the ball. Who will have the ultimate ear of Jerry and Steven and Will McClay on draft day, right? That's important. What side has the ear of the owner when it comes time to draft? A lot of things that we'll continue to get into. Joe mentioned it. We'll have our good friend Adam Hoge from Chicago, who give us all the things that we need to know about Eberflus and what he is. Stay right here on DLLS Cowboys Podcast. We'll be right back. And let me tell you about my good friends at Ice Shaker. IceShaker.com. Officially licensed in all sports. And I love this one right here because, 2025 is all about getting back in shape. And, if you want to get your protein right, this little agitator right here, you don't have to worry about that clink, 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 little ball that they have in the drinks when they do your protein. You put that thing on here, keeps your beverages cold for 30 hours. You give that thing a shake right here, and then you go ahead and do it. And if you're not a football fan, that's fine. Major League, NHL, NBA. If you're not a sports fan in general, that's fine too. Because you can go on their website, go to the custom shop on their website, and this is made by the Gronk brothers. Shout out to the Gronk brothers. And you can download whatever you want. You could be a guy like my boy Clarence, and you can put one of your fraternities or your sororities or your softball club, or you can put your grandma, your grandpa, whoever you want on there. Head over to iceshaker.com. Use the promo code AllCity25 to get 25% off a purchase of one of these great cups. And also, after you get your cup, you want to head over to the game. Huh? I did, Amari. I looked at it. I was like, you know what? This ain't half bad. This is a nice little cup right here.
It's good.
Yeah. And then you can even put that down. You say, I'm going to a game. That's it. I'm going to a game. I've done my workout. I got my protein on. I'm heading to a game. Here's where you need to go. Download the Game Time app. Put this app right next to your banking app because you're going to put some money back into your banking app when you get tickets from Game Time. Why? Because you're going to use our promo code. Our promo code is DLLS. And when you do that, you get $20 off your first purchase. It's not just games. You can go to concerts. I know there's a bunch of concerts coming to town. You can go to plays. You can go to shows. You can do all these things. Bring somebody with you. Have them download it. Go get the Game Time app. Use the promo code DLLS. Get $20 off. What time is it?
Game time.
Oh.
Meow.
Wow. You don't do those.
Yeah, you don't.
Meow.
You don't do
Kit Kat. Do we have Eric? Not yet. All right.
Well, I could talk a little Shrine Bowl then.
Yeah, what's our little Shrine Bowl?
Yeah.
I had an opportunity yesterday on my podcast, Unfiltered with Jesse Holly.
Whoa,
a little plug in there. I got a chance to interview Sean Lights Out Merriman.
How did he do it again?
It was like on his wrist.
Like this, right? It was like that.
Did you know Sean, who his Lights Out company, they're live streaming the practices for
it's been fantastic.
The Shrine Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was supposed to actually do some work with them, but I had a crazy schedule. Did you know how he got his Lights Out name?
No.
In high school, Sean Merriman knocked out 4 kids in one game. Like knocked them out cold. And they called him in the paper, they called him Lights Out. And he said
they called him in the paper?
Yeah.
They called him in the paper?
This paper is not supposed to do that.
Where did he grow up?
They called him Lights Out in the stands, and they kind of just caught wind, and the newspaper talked about it and stuff like that. And he said to me, he went and he begged his mom. He's like, man, I begged my mom every single day. He's like, I was 16 years old. I begged my mom and begged my mom and begged my mom to get the lights out, the light switch on my phone. Mm-hmm. And she said, boy, get the bleep, bleep, bleep out of here. Told him, no. Finally, eventually, she caved in and she let him go and put the Lights Out tattoo. And she signed off for him to put the Lights Out tattoo. And let me also tell you one thing. I'm a big human being. Yeah. I'm bigger than the average human being.
Yeah.
Sean's scary big.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
He's
like,
huge.
Big hands. Like that is crazy.
I was sitting next to him and he would just had just like a glass of wine and he was being like very just chill. But I look over and like just a big dude with like a small glass of wine. And I was like, that's just a funny juxtaposition.
Like he's just a big dude, man. Like I'm sure like his shirt, like if he gets custom shirts, the neck on his shirts, it's insane. But like my producer, he asked me, he goes, man, you think you could take Sean? I said, man, listen, there ain't no punk in me. Ain't no punk in me, but there's good sense in me.
Yeah.
It's really good sense in me. And I told him, I said, first and foremost, I'm going to try to talk my way out of it. I'm not fighting Sean. Why would I do that? I'm not. I don't want to get into it. He does a mixed martial arts. He's, I don't want no parts of that. Then I just told him, I said, if I could not talk my way out of this, hey, we live in a state where,
Yes, it's
I gotta
open carry.
put him.
It's open
I
carry.
gotta
I know
put him
what you're
down.
saying.
I gotta put.
It's open carry.
No, but Sean was great. Like he's a great dude. But Joe, you were over at the Shrine Bowl this week. You got a chance to interview a lot of these guys, talk to a lot of these guys. What was some people that stood out to you at the Shrine Bowl?
Yeah, I think the good thing about the Shrine Bowl, and there are multiple All-Star games, but the good thing about the Shrine Bowl is where you get to really see the depth of a draft, like kind of showcase itself, like guys that maybe you guys might take in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round, but also positions that could be strong. Good news, Cowboys fans, 2 positions that have depth this year in the NFL draft: running back and defensive line. The Shrine Bowl had a bunch of them. I'll go with running back first. How about Rocket Sanders from South Carolina, a guy that was a All-American, preseason All-American, first-team All-SEC at Arkansas, had a bad shoulder injury, comes back, is second-team All-SEC at South Carolina, comeback player of the year in college football last year. He's an absolute stud. That's a guy you could find late. How about Texas Tech's Taj Brooks? That guy is a bowling ball, and I asked him about being a bowling ball. He's like, no, I'm more than that, and he showcased it this week. Some defensive linemen that I loved was Jordan Phillips from Maryland. You talk about Matt Eberflus and trying to defend the run. That's a guy that can be really stout.
Do we have a little bit of cause for pause?
100%.
When we hear the name Jordan Phillips,
100%. Cowboys legend Jordan Phillips. Yeah,
Man had a sack.
I know, and he played well.
Man had a sack in the playoff game.
I'm talking about what he did in the Cowboys.
Well, see, there's a dispute about what he did with the Cowboys because he said he wasn't hurt.
This Jordan Phillips doesn't have wrist
I
injury.
watched-
This Jordan Phillips don't have wrist injury.
He said he wasn't hurt.
I watched Jordan Phillips on tape while he was with the Cowboys
Yeah.
week in and week out, and that boy was getting driven off the
I don't know.
line
I don't know what
to the
happened.
concession stand.
Can we
I don't know
talk
what
for a
happened.
second about how bad the rush defense was the Cowboys for the first 4 weeks, just like on film? Like, were you watching in
6 weeks?
Yeah, but you'd watch and you'd be like, how is this even? You are a 320-pound man being just shoved. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
Other guys, CJ West from Indiana. That's one of my personal favorites from the Shrine Bowl. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. A couple corners for you. Kobe Bryant from Kansas. This was a guy that had about 50 scholarship offers coming out of high school. Could have gone anywhere. He's from Alabama. Decided to go to Kansas because of Les Miles. Ended up sticking there and played really, really well. And my last guy, we talk about Jordan Lewis, right? About the importance of having a slot corner. Well, Jordan Lewis might end. Who knows if he ends up coming back, right? That's one guy that the Cowboys have to prioritize. But if they don't get him, how about North Carolina's Elijah Huzzie? He was fantastic.
What's his last name?
Huzzie. Huzzie.
Huzzie.
He was fantastic.
Huzzie.
Huzzie. Absolutely fantastic this week in Shrine Bowl.
He old school, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a hussy.
Yeah, no, it's Huzzie. He was fantastic. Saw him make play after play. Locked out a couple guys from Colorado I saw. Sorry, DNVR guys. That's a guy that I think that could be a good replacement in terms of coverage ability for the Cowboys in the slot.
The good thing about the Shrine Bowl.
It better be good.
It better be good.
The good thing about the Shrine Bowl, it's a hands-on event, and you get to go see people, and certainly he talked to Aronde Gadsden's son, from Syracuse.
Oh, fantastic! That's another guy.
Tight end. You remember you don't remember Aronde Gadsden, but he played for the Cowboys 1995 on the last Super Bowl team. He went to Miami, became a big-time receiver. His son's it was a receiver, moved to tight end.
At Syracuse.
Moved to tight end, and he's up to 240 pounds. But just walk around, because I went to the hotel just to do some networking with agents. Talked to Brian Daboll for a minute. He was there, with the Giants. He talking about, take care of my boy Shotty, And so he just walking around smoking a cigar, outside the hotel. Saw Michael Vick, he's there
chilling.
walking around. Obviously Dion and Bucky and the whole Colorado crew is there, but just different agents. They're there, with their players talking to people. But it's a good hands-on event.
100%.
You got something?
No, just great media access. And one thing about Gadsden, go check him out. That dude's ability to make plays on the ball up in the air is fantastic. He's an athletic freak. That's a guy I would not mind the Cowboys taking the tight end.
Talking about the Shrine Bowl and tomorrow's, NFL players, the Cowboys, in addition to locking in their head coach Brian Schottenheimer, signing Eberflus and their other coaches, they locked in a guy who's going to be really important this year
100%.
and in the future in the draft, and a guy who, and this is my dude, and you my dude, but a guy who needs a good draft.
Yeah.
He needs a good draft. The Cowboys just locked up Will McClay. He signed a 4-year deal. So if you're doing the math, that's Will McClay, that's Dak Prescott, that's Brian Schottenheimer, are now
CeeDee
all
Lamb.
and CeeDee Lamb and Michael kind of on the tail end of that, because he'll probably get his deal this offseason. Those guys are now tied together for the next 4 years for the Dallas Cowboys. How significant, Clarence, was the signing of Will McClay for the next 4 years for the Cowboys?
Yeah, Will McClay is crucial because he is the backbone of the draft. He's the one. I mean, Jerry makes the decision, of course, and Steven makes the decision, but he's the one that puts it all together. He's the one. I mean, when they made Will McClay the chief scout and VP of player personnel, whatever official name he has, just look at the numbers. Look at all the Pro Bowlers and all pros they've drafted, and he is really the foundation of what they do because this is a draft and develop team. And so it's really important that they make hits in draft. Obviously, the last couple of years have not been as great as it was early on, but you just look at the drafts and the backbone of those 12-5 seasons, the success that Jason Garrett had during his time is because of what Will McClay did in the draft.
Yeah, and I think shout out to Tommy Arish who had the quotes on this from DallasCowboys.com, but Will McClay talked yesterday with the media up at the Senior Bowl, and one thing he really harped on was alignment. And had the importance of that in the draft process.
Alignment
Alignment with the scouting department and the coaching department.
And specifically, he talked about Brian Schottenheimer and how he kind of vouched for him too, because Schottenheimer not only communicates well with them about what he wants, he over-communicates, he said. He said that he really makes it clear exactly what he wants to fit his system. And I think that that's going to be an important cog in this whole machine because we talk about, hey, how important is it to get some of these the whole coaching staff filled out before the Senior Bowl, before the Shrine Bowl, before the Combine. Well, you do have some continuity, at least on offense, with a guy that knows exactly how to communicate what he wants.
Yeah, and I talked to Jerry and I talked to the guys about, are y'all behind in the draft process and free agent process because you're just not getting the coach? Mm-hmm. And they said the key thing was Will and the scouting department because that's going to remain the same. And just a note, the Cowboys, since Will McClay took over, the Cowboys have drafted 15 Pro Bowlers and 6 All-Pros in the draft. That's on Will McClay's ledger.
We got Eric.
Yes.
All right, let's bring Eric on. Eric, what's going on? Can you hear us?
Yes, guys, how we doing?
I'm doing well, man. 1 day away from the big game. How you feeling right now? How's everything in place? Everything ready to go for the big game?
No, everything's great, man. We're actually here at Shriners Patients Day, where our players get a chance to hang out with our Shriners patients on the field here at Globe Life Field. So it's an incredible chance for these guys to kind of wind down the week of practice and the 1,000 NFL personnel that were here all week and kind of appreciate what the hospital is all about too. So a pretty awesome activity going on today.
Eric, when you look at this game, and for the people who are returning fans, for the people who may be first-time fans to this game, what should they expect? What will get people to feel excited about this game that's happening tomorrow at AT&T Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, I think for one, we've had a lot of great quarterback success stories. Maybe you didn't know who they were before, shine in the game. Guys like Brock Purdy or Aiden O'Connell had a great game at the Shrine Bowl, the game itself, and realized NFL teams, hey, these guys can handle being starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So I think it's a cool moment for quarterbacks as a scout, running backs and linebackers. It's hard to kind of show who you are in practice, but game days where they show up as well too. But from a scouting standpoint, hey, NFL teams are watching this film. Hopefully NFL draft fans are as well too. But this game is an exhibition, but talking to our coaches by the second half, it gets competitive, and these guys want to win, and these players want to win too. So enjoyable game, 100th year game for us as well, but obviously a lot of great players to watch on the field, whether you're an NFL draft fan, a Colorado or Syracuse fan, or a fan of any of these guys in the field.
One question. How many teams brought their staffs here? I saw Tennessee had the staff here. Saw Dayball and the Giants have. How many teams have brought their staffs here during the week to scout players?
Yeah, at least 23 teams brought their highest football executive, GM, right, vice president, whoever it may be, to the Shrine Bowl. We had at least 10 head coaches all week long too. So again, about 700-800, maybe close to 1,000 NFL personnel all in at the Shrine Bowl all week long too. And I know some of you guys were there. It's packed all weekend long, sideline-wise. It was an incredible atmosphere for these guys to really impress NFL teams. And talking to Mike Borgonzi or Andrew Berry or Joe Shino, the top 3 picks in the draft, I know they were very happy to be at practice all week long.
Eric, you mentioned quarterbacks. Let's talk a little bit about a couple of them really quickly. Kyle McCord is a guy that looks the part. I sat down and talked with him, interview coming on DLS. Fantastic interview as well. I also got Cam Miller from North Dakota State. Tell us a little bit about some of these quarterbacks that you think could be the quarterbacks that people know tomorrow.
Yeah, certainly Shedeur Sanders was maybe our most headlining quarterback at the Shrine Bowl. But a couple guys you mentioned I think are really impressed all week long too. Kyle McCord was a star at Ohio State, ended up transferring there too. But I think if Kyle McCord is at Ohio State, wins a national championship, we're talking about him as a slam dunk first-round pick, and he's the same player. Had a great week of practice here. I think he was the most impressive for NFL clubs. And, hey, in this quarterback class, we've got 2 guys at the top, Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, and then a big open area for someone to step up. And I hope Kyle's one of those guys for NFL teams. You mentioned Cam Miller, national championship winner this year at the FCS level of North Dakota State. He was outstanding this week. Max Brosmer, quarterback from Minnesota, New Hampshire, first-team All-American, goes to Minnesota, has a great second half of the year. I think he was the guy that stood out most to NFL teams in our throwing session on Friday. And then experienced guys like Brady Cook, Peyton Thorne, Ethan Garbage played a lot of football in their college career. So we had a really strong quarterback class in this year's Shrine Bowl. And I'm not sure I'd say any guys are Brock Purdy. That's a high bar to reach, but I think a lot of these guys have a chance to play a long time in the NFL.
Eric, man, we appreciate you so much for this joining us this week, man. Thank you so much for what you do for the Shrine game. And I wish best of luck to you tomorrow and to all the guys out there at AT&T Stadium that be playing in the game. And we hope to do this again next year for the 101 year of this game.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Appreciate everything.
Take care, Eric.
All right, stay right here with us. When we come back, we'll take another call. We'll call our buddies from CHGO, Adam Hoge, and he's going to give us all the insight on what we have now with our new defensive coordinator, Coach Eberflus. He'll tell us all about it. Stay right here with us. DLLS Cowboys Podcast. We'll be right back. And we just talked about, Shrine game and 100 years of that. We just looked at with Eric Galko. It's going to be a fantastic game. You need to go and get your tickets right now. Go to shrinebowl.com and get $20 tickets. They're starting at $20. All you got to do is go to shrinebowl.com, get the tickets right now. And if you buy 2 or more tickets, you get you get a 50% off. So it's really a buy one, get one free. So if you got a son or nephew or a friend or a buddy who really enjoys football, head over to shrinebowl.com and get your tickets and go enjoy the game. It's right here at AT&T Stadium. You know what it's like heading down to Jerry World to do anything in there. It's going to be first class, and you're going to see tomorrow's stars today. It's a great event. We've been there all week in practice. We've talked to the guys. Go check them out on our website. So this is going to be a fantastic game. East-West Shrine Bowl game, shrinebowl.com. Go get the tickets now. And if you just so happen to be a college fan and you're looking to spruce up your man cave, your she shed, your TV room, your family room, whatever it is, or you're saying, you know what? I have a grandkid, I have a granddaughter, grandson, I have a niece, a nephew, a son or daughter who's off to college. Pop, he got kids in college. Maybe he may send no grandkids, but you have kids in college.
No grandkids.
Yeah, but let me tell you about our friend Saturday Neon. What Saturday Neon is, it's 2 friends who came together to give you some of the latest college university neon light signs. They last forever, over 100,000 hours on them. Head on over to SaturdayNeon.com and you get 10% off. They're only about $75. So get 10% off that by using our promo code DLLS. And they have most of your major college teams. SaturdayNeon.com. Get 10% off using DLLS. Send somebody a nice gift. We got Hoge. We got Hoge. We got Hoge. In different area. We got Hoge. Adam Hoge, man, calling in from our Chicago. We call it our sister or brother station. What is it called? Like, is our brother or sister? It's
a sister.
Sister?
Station's a sister.
Station's a sister?
Yeah,
we're gonna say all bros are here, so we're gonna say our bro station. Our bro station in Chicago, CHGO. The Cowboys rounding out their staff. You guys let a coach go. We said one man's trash is another man's treasure. And so we brought back Coach Eberflus as our defensive coordinator. Give us the lowdown, the hold down, the hold down of what Eberflus is as a coach. And will this be a good hire for the Cowboys?
Yeah, what's up, boys? Hey, the Bears did the same thing. They took Dennis Allen, and they're like, hey, we'll just make him the DC. So very similar situations there, I think. Here's the deal with Matt Eberflus. He was a terrible head coach. I think everybody could see that. And, that unfortunately the Bears were putting so many positions on national television, and it all came to a head on Thanksgiving, right? With the whole world watching, with him just letting the clock literally run out on his time as Bears head coach. And there's just way too many situations like that. The good news for you guys is he won't have to do that for the Cowboys because he will not be the head coach. He will be the defensive coordinator. And, I think we look back on his time in Chicago as pretty good from the defensive side, and specifically good. It got better when he took over the play calling duties early in season number 2. So for those that are unaware, when he got to Chicago, as the head coach, he brought over Alan Williams, who was the secondary coach in Indianapolis, and he said, I'm going to make him the defense coordinator and let him call the plays too, because I want to be the CEO, head coach. I'm going to try to oversee everything. And at the time, that was applauded because we had just gone through the Matt Nagy experience where he couldn't really handle the head coaching duties while he was trying to run the offense at the same time. But, they were still running Eberflus's system, which is all the same old Rod Marinelli stuff. You guys know all this stuff already. But, Alan Williams, there was some things going on. They never really reached a peak. They also didn't have a ton of talent that first year. Then he sort of mysteriously has to resign under weird circumstances that still really haven't been explained.
Yeah.
And so Matt Eberflus takes over the defense, takes over the play calling. And it was kind of perfect timing because the talent level got better. They had signed TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds. The rookies they had drafted the year before were in year 2. Everything started kind of rising up together. And Matt Eberflus did a good job with that defense. And it got all the way to the point where that Hail Mary game this year against the Commanders, the Bears had a run there where they were one of the better defenses. I don't know where they specifically ranked, but it felt like they were definitely top 10, maybe even top 5 for a stretch there. Well, unfortunately, the way that Commanders game ended and the way Matt Eberflus handled it as a head coach afterwards, first of all, put him in the wrong call on 3rd down, then didn't rush on 4th down. Tyreek Stevenson's chirping at the crowd, not really paying attention. You guys saw all that. And then the way Matt Eberflus handled that as a head coach after the game, taking zero accountability, he lost his defense right then and there. And things started really going downhill. But if you're just going to hire him as your DC, ask him to run your defense. We can get into the scheme stuff here in a little bit, but I think it's a solid hire for the Cowboys.
Yeah, just speaking from a scheme standpoint, I go back to Indy, and you remember him, Indy, coming from Indy. He was good with the linebackers. And so can you talk, how will this impact Micah Parsons? How will he make Micah Parsons better?
Yeah, so that's the one area where I am curious, because the thing about Flus is, if you picture what Brian Flores is doing with the Vikings right now, right, it's the exact opposite. We're talking about 2 ends of the defensive spectrum, right? Flores is actually running unsound concepts in the secondary, but getting away with it because they're creating so much confusion at the line of scrimmage pre-snap. You don't know who's coming. You don't know who's backing out. They try to mix it up so much that they can get away with actually being on the wrong coverage on the back end because the quarterback just really doesn't know what to do and can't process all that. The Lions were one of the few teams this year that was able to actually piece it all together, and Jared Goff did a pretty good job, and that's why the Lions had success against the Vikings in their 2 matchups this year. But most teams are struggling against that. With Matt Eberflus, you're getting the exact opposite. He's not trying to hide stuff. You're getting it's essentially variations of the old Tampa 2 stuff, right? That's the base scheme, and you're going to have 4-down linemen. He might bring a blitz here and there, but he's not trying to disguise stuff too much. And at the end of the day, ultimately, they're going to sit back. They're going to let you dink and dunk. Your opponent might get down there in field goal range, but ultimately they're hoping as the plays add up, you're going to commit a penalty, holding call, backed up 10 yards, whatever it is. All of a sudden you're behind the chains, right? And then they're going to pounce on you then. Or you're going to turn the ball over because Flus is going to preach takeaways all the time. And worst case scenario, they give up a field goal. That's kind of when the Bears defense was working really well at the end of last year, early part of this year. That's what they were doing, and they were just giving up field goals. So it was working. But when it comes to Micah Parsons, he's not really going to be too creative with him, I feel like. And when I think about Parsons from watching from the outside, you guys are there every day. I mean, he's versatile enough. He's good enough. You can line him up anywhere. I'm really curious to see how Matt Eberflus handles that. I do think he kind of got more creative at times, but one of the big stories coming out of the Bears season this year was that they didn't get enough out of Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat was banged up. He's not as good as Micah Parsons, obviously, But that was a big disappointing part of the season because the Bears gave up a lot for him and signed him to a huge contract. And if there's any concern I have about him going down to Dallas, it's just getting the most out of the pass rush.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought that up because when I think of the flu system that you were kind of talking about, I think the lack of blitzing, the lack of disguise, and you brought Montez Sweat. That's a big swing they took to go get him. I've been kind of theorizing since the Eberflus hire that maybe they might want to get someone opposite of Micah Parsons as a pass rusher, maybe at 12. Is that a crazy thought that maybe they'd want to pair up another elite pass rusher, even though they got a lot of needs here in Dallas, Adam? But is that kind of a crazy thought?
No, it's not, because the Bears, really failed to get a good second pass rusher. They tried a bunch of different options. They had Yannick Ngakoue 2 years ago. In fact, there was a brief overlap and that's probably when the pass rush was the best, was when Montez Sweat came over in that trade mid-2023, and Yannick Ngakoue was still there. But then Ngakoue got hurt a few weeks later. But there was like a brief overlap there where they were both kind of humming, and that was probably the peak of the Bears pass rush under Matt Eberflus. So I don't hate that idea. Some of the positions, though, within the scheme that he's going to come, I don't know if he's having a press conference with the guys or not, but if he is, he's going to tell you this. They need a 3 technique.
Right.
And you need he loves the nickel spot, right? The nickel corner spot in the scheme is really important. The Bears had Kyler Gordon. They drafted him into the scheme, and he's a pretty good player within the scheme as well. So those are 2 big spots. You guys would have to help me. Off the top of my head, I can't think of who the Cowboys are running at 3 technique, or if you guys even have a good one.
They
but
have
that's
also Odigizua, but he's a free agent. So he's one of the, they put out a list of top free agents. He's a top 10 free agent across the league, and he's a priority to re-sign.
And then the nickel will be Jordan Lewis, who is also a free agent.
Jordan Lewis is pretty good as well. Can you tell me, stopping the run, that's a big focus here, something the Cowboys haven't done. How were the Bears against the run? How is his defense and that scheme been stopping the run?
Yeah, it kind of comes back to players over plays, right? Because when the Bears made a great signing in Andrew Billings, they got him, on the cheap, coming over from the Raiders, and he did such a good job plugging the run that they quickly signed him to an extension. And you look at this season, actually, it's one of the things Ben Johnson, the Bears' new head coach, who was obviously scheming against the Bears defense twice a year, right. He pointed out, he's like, man, in 2023, we couldn't figure out how to run the ball against the Bears because Andrew Billings was in there. Well, this year, Billings got hurt midway through the year before both of the Lions games, and it was just like parting the seas wide open. So, I think when it comes to Flus's scheme, that's going to depend more on, who the Cowboys have, who those run pluggers are up the middle. If they have those guys, then they'll stop the run. Because it's not like, Matt Eberflus does care about stopping the run, but you got to have the players to do it.
Right.
And so that's really what I think it'll come down to from that standpoint.
Adam, we got about 45 seconds. When you talk about, for us, it's culture. It's on defense. It's toughness. It's nastiness. Does Eberflus bring that level of effort, nastiness, and toughness to the defense? Or he's more just, I want guys to be where they're supposed to be, and we'll get to the ball that way?
I don't know if I would call it toughness or, nastiness as much as, he's got this hits principle. It kind of comes from Rod Marinelli, right? The loafs and all that stuff. He's going to preach that hustle, intensity, takeaways with the ball, and then being situationally smart. That's the acronym that he uses. I think it works on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think it worked with the offensive guys when he was the head coach. I think the offensive guys were like, what is this? Like, we don't rally to the ball. We have the ball. We're on offense. Like, it just didn't really cross over to me from that standpoint. But I think defensively, you did see the Bears, they rally to the football. You're consistently seeing 7-8 guys get to the ball. And in fact, that's what was so noticeable when I think he started to lose the locker room after the Hail Mary. It was obvious. All of a sudden, you didn't see as many guys that were rallying to the football constantly. So I think as long as he implements that and they buy in and he doesn't do anything that's, going to lose the locker room, which will be less of an issue for him as the DC rather than the head coach, then they'll be okay.
Adam Hoge, CHGO, brother, we appreciate you so much. You guys take care of my Tar Heel, your head coach out there in Chicago, brother.
Yeah, man, we're excited. I don't know what you guys are doing, Brian Schottenheimer, but the Bears got Ben.
Hey, Jerry says Brian Schottenheimer just as good as Ben Johnson. Yeah. They got McDonald's money at home. They don't have to spend it on Ben Johnson.
Hey, Cowboys come to Soldier Field next year. It's going to be Matt Eberflus' revenge game, and I guess we'll see what the offenses look like going up against each other.
Hopefully it's in September.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, Adam, appreciate you, brother.
See you guys.
All right, make sure you're hitting the like button. We want to get those likes. I want those likes at 200 or more. 200. We at 175. I need more from you. All right, man. Joe, you wrote a story about the 100 days. We're going to talk about that. So stay right here with us. We'll be right back on the Cowboys DLLS Podcast. And are you a diehard? This is the question that I want to know. And if the answer is yes, thank you. Thank you for being a diehard, where you get all of the top content with being a diehard. You get Joe's stories, you get Clarence stories, you get access to all the stories for all the sports that we cover here at DLLS. If you are not a diehard, the hell are you waiting on? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why aren't you a diehard? You know, you want to be a part of the fastest growing, the best network around here. We cover Rangers, we cover Stars, we cover Cowboys, we cover Mavs. You don't want to be a part of that? You don't want to be a part of that? And then once you become a diehard, you get a free t-shirt when you sign up to be a diehard. But it doesn't stop there, because the merch store is insane. So once you get your free t-shirt, you're going to see it, you're going to see the quality, and be like, you know what? Kind of like it. Kind of my style. What else they got? Well, for being a diehard, you get 20% off any other purchase that you get. So you can get a t-shirt for you, for your boo thing, get a hoodie for you. Got to get a hoodie for her, because she'll steal your hoodie, bro. She'll steal your hoodie. Get one for her. Get one for your kids. Make this a family affair. And most importantly, when you sign up to be a diehard, you get that carrying card.
Yeah.
You get Ben. I mean, seriously. Like, I'm not into the begging thing, but come on. We need carrying cards. We are the diehards of the diehards. We need the carrying cards. We have all the backstage discourse that we talk about. We talk about sports. We talk about, I go down to the trailer parks a couple times a week, especially when I get paid. I get a big box of chicken. I head on down to the TPs, and I might have some premium foot content.
That's not where I thought that was going.
Yeah, I might have some premium foot content.
You go from the trailer parks.
Yeah, I get them out of the trailer park. So sign up to be a diehard today. Be a part of this, man. We want you here.
I'm from small town Texas. I think of trailer parks. I don't think of food trailers. Okay.
No, I go get food and then head down.
But I don't think of feet.
No.
You go, huh?
What? You think?
What?
Become a diehard.
Become a diehard. That's all that matters. Become a diehard. Become a diehard. All right. If you were a diehard, then you would know all the things that my boy Joe writes about. And Joe, you've written a story. Have you written this?
No, it's coming out today.
It's coming out today. So if you were a diehard, you would be the first to be able to read this story. I'm just going to toss it up to you. I'm going to give you the Dwayne Wade to my LeBron and tell us about the story that you're writing about 100 Days in Will McClay.
Yeah, no, I think
I'm sorry, Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Whenever a new presidential regime comes in, the 100 days can be the most crucial. It can be the most telling. You're wondering, that's when changes are felt. That's when they're judged. That's when, the whole thing is just switched from the last presidency to the next one, right? And I know there's a difference between the Oval Office and the head coach's office at the Dallas Cowboys, but I think this 100 days for Brian Schottenheimer Era is very, very crucial. If you look at it from the first day he was hired to the 100 days after, that'd be May 8th. So what does that include? It includes free agency, that includes the first draft, that includes assembling a coaching staff. Long story short, this is a very, very crucial 100 days, and I wanted to throw it up to you guys as well and to the chat. Can Brian Schottenheimer, Jerry Jones, and Stephen Jones provide hope for this season in this 100 days?
If they do something.
If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
Yeah, if they do something. The problem is that, the 100 days is important after the season for every coach. It was important for last offseason when they hired Mike Zimmer, but they did nothing in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
And then they reach for needs in the draft. It's a question of how they handle it. I understand it's important for Brian Schottenheimer, but we've been talking about it. It's also, he needs help from the ownership. He needs help from the front office. Stephen Jones talked about the other day about doing things differently in free agency than they've done in the past. They have to do something different. They have to help him out. They have to bolster this roster with players in free agency. That's will make the difference of whether this 100 days will matter.
Mm-hmm. And I think the most crucial part of this 100 days, because I think the draft is inherent, right? And this is a draft and develop team, even though they haven't drafted well recently. That's something that they're going to go attack head on like they always do. But I think the first wave of free agency is the most key part of this 100 days. And I think that, and even before that, I think your own exclusive negotiating window with Osa Odighizuwa and Jordan Lewis and guys we talked, they're going to fit Flus's system, right? I think those are key.
If Jerry this is my personal opinion, if Jerry wants to be able to win the fan base back, because we have seen throughout this year, and it started really in the offseason last year.
All in.
When it was the all-in conversation, and then we see that all-in didn't quite equate to what we thought it would be, and then the season happened, and then that went to crap really quickly, and how it ended. You saw a lot of fans, and we see it every day in the chat. They're done. One guy said early on, he says, I started being a Cowboys fan when I was 4. I'm 50. And he said, I'm tired.
Right. Yes.
He said, I'm tired. And if Jerry and company, I had a conversation, and my source will remain nameless. And my source
so you're not pulling
will not be, the curtain won't be pulled. But I had a chance to talk with someone who works in the back end, right? Who works in the marketing, who works in the merchandise, who works in the ad revenues and all that kind of stuff.
Jerry Jones?
And
Jerry Jones Jr.
Oh, Jerry Jr. Sorry.
And this is the first time, and this person's been working in the Cowboys organization for more than 20 years. And they said that this is the first time that they've seen a dip in sales and merch and the amount of money that's spent for advertising, all of that across the board.
Wow.
So for me, the Cowboys and Jerry Jones, if they're going to bring the fans back, if they're going to have the fans come back in a way that is profitable, this first 100 days is critical, and they have to go and spend money in free agency.
Have to.
Like, that has to be a priority, and not the bargain bin. Right. Not the tail end of it on the guy. So we're like, oh, this guy's on his last leg, or this guy was, he was good 6 years ago. He would have been a hot name 5 years ago. No, these guys need to go. Yes, signing Osa Odighizuwa back, signing guys like Jordan Lewis back are necessary. But in addition to those guys, there has to be some big names that are signed in this offseason for the Cowboy fans. Not only the team purposes, for your fans to come back and believe that this is really a thing that they want to be a part of.
Yeah, so that's my issue, is I think that they get caught up in there. Well, we signed Dak and we signed CD, and they're going to get into, we signed Osa and we signed Jordan and we signed Micah. Like, that's doing something to them. No, you have to supplement your own guys. You're just running the same guys back.
Right.
Okay? You have to add to that,
100%.
And you talk about the first few days of raising. That's when the big money comes off the board. And Jared and Steven have been shy about doing a lot of business early because they don't want to spend the big money early on in free agency. But you can't be shy about that. Don't just run the same guys back and say we did something.
And for Steven to sit up there on the press conference and talk about, yes, I know that we have to do things. Yeah, I know that we have to do things differently in free agency. I don't want that to be one of those all-in type things, right? To say one thing but actually do something different. That has to be a real thing, Joe. It has to be something that they look at and go, we really got to help our coaches out. If this is going to be the hire, don't tell me about all the risk, right? Don't tell me about the pain. Show me the damn baby. Don't tell me about the risk. Give him what he needs to succeed.
Two things they also have to do. They got to get Micah Parsons done early. I don't want to go to the combine and then hear from them everything at the combine. Oh, hey, CeeDee Lamb's not going to be here until the end of training camp, which ended up being true, which we could all kind of see as an outcome. Go sign Micah Parsons early. Go get that done. Make that a thing where you can actually go into free agency with a clear mind and attack that head on. The other thing, you got 3 5th-round picks. No 4th-rounder, Jonathan Mingo. 3 5th-round picks. Trade 2 of them for veterans at corner and receiver and make sure you can get some depth there and make that happen.
I will be keeping a close eye because there are so many needs. There's so many needs.
Yeah, they're across the board.
Across the board. Darn near at every position.
Yes.
Right? Like, I guess, quarterback, you're fine, but you need to upgrade your maybes to go with CeeDee Lamb, right? You You need to definitely upgrade that offensive line. You need defensive line help. You need linebacking help. You need running back help. You need some more corners. You need some more safety. So there is going to be a need for this team to really attack free agency so that they don't have to go into the draft. Kat, let's look at some of these super chats that we have going on in there. Super chat from Jared Hall. Hey guys, back again. Just here to say I was born in 1999.
I'm sorry, Jared.
Wow. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. You never saw the Cowboys be winners.
We appreciate you, but I'm sorry.
No, read this one.
Paraphrase.
Like, pull it up. You want to pull it up. Let me say this. Fellas, you all know these cheap blank. Spend the money do is blame Micah, Dak, and CD. Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you. Appreciate you for your super chat.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. We're not into.
They're going to spend money on their own guys. Yeah, they need to supplement that by bringing other guys in for sure.
We need. It is so imperative that this has to be an off season to remember.
Yeah,
like in a good way. Like we need an off season in a good way, so bad, so bad. And you're right. It starts with Micah. It's locking in that contract because you free up when you get Micah done. You actually free up more money.
Restructure Dak too.
Well,
you have to.
I got
it. So and again, are you excited? Is what they done this week exciting? Because I like Brian, but Brian's not an exciting hire.
No, I think this is the first coaching hire that I've seen.
There's nothing exciting about, okay, this is going to get it done.
I think it's the first coaching hire I've seen league-wide in a while that it's like, oh man, the excitement level or disappointment is like not necessarily about him, but about everything around him.
Yeah, but him too, because there's nothing about him that he's not considered a bright offensive.
No, but
mind.
I'm talking about like from a PR perspective. Watch ESPN, go watch all this stuff. It's not exactly about Brian Schottenheimer. It's more about Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and the process that led him there. So I think that there's nothing Brian Schottenheimer can do right now, and there's nothing he can do until week one when he coaches, and we can see exactly what kind of head coach he is. I think everything surrounding this is about the front office, and I think that's who can actually excite Cowboy fans, the front office, or they can disappoint them like they did last season.
Yeah, but I think if you bring Ben Johnson in, because there's been so much buzz around him, we've seen what he does, the magic he's made with his offense, that's exciting in itself.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
There's nothing about Brian in addition to
you gotta say his name like that. Brian.
I'm so shoddy.
How about Liam?
Shoddy. There's nothing about Brian that excites you. I'm sorry.
No, it is.
And even a defense coordinator, the special team coach, there's nothing about Eberflus is a good coordinator. I don't know if he's the best in the league. He's a good solid hire, but nothing about what they've done, the Cowboys hit it.
I'm not gonna lie, like talking to Adam Hoge, who they cover the Chicago Bears.
He was fantastic.
He was great. And they saw Eberflus in the position of power, up close and personal. Talking to him did not give me. It gave me more cause for concern.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you talk about being, and I don't mean basic in a negative way, I just mean basic in your sets. That's gonna piss Micah off.
Yeah.
Like to not move Micah around, to not give him the flexibility to be in a lot of different positions. That's going to cause an issue. And I think we're going to see early in Brian Schottenheimer's tenure, how well will he be able to manage the egos? How well will he be able to manage control when things go to hell? Because you're going to have it. Like you're going to have things go bad from the fan base. They're going to be screaming. If you don't come out the gates 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, it's going to get loud.
Yeah.
It's going to get real loud. And now guys are going to have to take on the responsibility of being able to manage the noise.
And I thought our friend Joe Trahan had a great point about, we talked about with Brian Schottenheimer that the players like him, right? The locker room likes him. And they do. But I think they also are in tune with what the outside world thinks, to your point, and saying, hey, this is a guy that's never been a head coach before. This is a hire that was not done with due diligence in terms of external candidates. If they start off 0-2, 0-3, maybe that locker room doesn't start to like him as much as maybe they did before. And just a thought, I think it's an interesting idea that, to your point, things could change quickly. So it's important.
And NFL won't do them any favors because as soon as the Eagles win the Super Bowl, if they win the Super Bowl, it'll be the Cowboys, Eagles.
Week one,
Thursday night football.
In Chicago, at Chicago in December.
In Chicago.
At Chicago in December.
In Philadelphia.
All right, man. That's it for our show. Our captain will be out all week, so I'll be back tomorrow. Joe will be back tomorrow. Clarence will be back tomorrow. And I hope that you will be back tomorrow. Remember, continue to hit the like and the subscribe button to tell a friend all about what we do here at DLLS. It's the baddest, the dopest, the nicest Cowboy podcast there is. And remember, you never know what anyone's going through, so be kind to everyone. Eliminate the contingencies.
We got...
We all silly like the mayor.